What's going on, y'all? It's Ken Jones back. The next installment of the iTechnicallyKan Power BI series is happening now. Activity 4. So today we're going to be jumping into calculated columns and measures. Think of your calculated columns like extra ingredients that you add into that dish you're making, whereas your measures, that's like adding some flavoring after the dish is done. Both of these are built using DAX, so it's very similar in how they're created, but how they're actually used is where the difference kicks in. Your calculated column works at a row level. That works for static value, so it's going across. It's going to evaluate one column and another column, and then in that column that has been created, it's going to give you the output of that calculation in which you made. Your measure, that's taken on the whole table itself. So that's going to give you the summary of all the values in that table. So with that, let's go ahead, jump right into it. I'm going to show y'all really quick what we're going to end up with. Here on screen is going to be a table that's going to show us some values, and it's got our calculated column and our measures in it. And then we're going to use a line chart to show you the time series version using the measure that we create for our year to date. So with that, here in Power BI, what we're going to do is get started on creating that first calculated column. We're going to create the calculated column and the measures before we actually get into getting our visual and adding them to the visual so we can actually see them in action. So what you want to start with is in the data pane. We want to start with the table that contains the fields that we're going to actually be combining to create that extra column. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with, let's go ahead, we're going to create a profit, and I'm going to jump to the table view for this. It's actually going to be a bit better to see it in real time. So what we want to do is product lookup. I'm going to expand product lookup. Now this product lookup table, this has our product cost and our product price. And so that's what we're going to be figuring out, right? What's the difference between those? That's going to be our profit, okay? There's a cost to make it, and then there's a cost in selling it, or I guess value in selling it, and that difference is what the profit actually is. So you want to start with selecting that product lookup, make sure that that table is selected, and then here in the ribbon under table tools, we're going to choose new column. Now when you click on new column, it's going to go ahead and it's going to populate with column equals, right? So this is whatever your new column name, you establish that here before the equal operator. So this is going to be profit. So I'm going to key in profit. And then whatever comes after that, Power BI knows, okay, this is the formula, right? Over at the end of this table, you should be able to see here, now we have that column, right? It's an extra column. So it's just waiting for the formula to get put in. And when we hit enter, that's going to update with the name profit. And then it's going to do what we need it to do. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to start by typing in product. So it brings up the product lookup, and I'm looking for a product price field. So what this does, it says, hey, this is the table. Product lookup, that's the table. Okay. Product price is the field within that table. So we're taking that, throw in the minus sign, and then we're going to key in product again, so I can go ahead and get that next field, which is that product cost. Might have to scroll up. There it goes. So now we got this set up. So it's saying take that product price and then subtract the product cost from it. And what you get is the profit. Now, when I hit enter, you'll see that column gets populated here. Now over here in the product lookup, notice that we see this profit, and there's now the profit field, which is that column we just created. And then it's got this little icon right here, which is like the table with the Greek sigma in front of it, right? So that's identifying and letting you know this right here is a calculated column. So that's an easy way if you happen to open up a model and you're happen to look in this data pane and expand the tables and you see that icon, that's exactly what that is. So also a way to be able to differentiate between your calculated columns and your measures. So with this, I'm going to make a couple format changes, because if we look here, we can see that from the decimal place is 4 values here. We want to set that to 2. So here in that column tools, with that field selected, I'm going to go ahead and type in 2, and then that updates to 2. and it's already set as currency, so we're good to go there. So that's something to keep in mind too. When you do create a calculated column or a measure, just verify that the format options are set up how you want them to be. All right, so now we have our calculated column. And now I'm going to actually keep it on table view so I can show you when we create this measure next, it's not going to populate an extra column or anything. So I'm going to collapse this product lookup, and this next one is going to come, we're going to be in this sales data combined. This is where we're going to create our measure at. And so our measure, what we want to do is get the total sales. So to make that happen, I'm going to go ahead and start by selecting sales data combined table. And that way we let Power BI know where this measure is actually going to live. Now, you do have the ability to create a dedicated measures table so that all of those exist in the same place, but we'll discuss that at a later time. For now, let's just get it made. So with sales data combined, I'm going to head up, and this time I'm going to go ahead and click new measure. And what you're going to notice when you do select that new measure, it looks very much the same as a calculated column, because again, both of these are built using DAX formulas, just different in how they interact with your data. And I haven't touched too much on DAX in general, but we are going to have some more in the future where we dive deep into it, because it is a big subject. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with naming this. I'm going to go with total sales. I'm going to go with an equal sign. So this is going to be, measure is going to be called total sales. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start with the SUMX function. And if you see here, when you do use a function, that little pop-up that's happening right here is telling you the way that this works. You identify a table and then an expression. And what it does is returns the sum of the expression evaluated for each row in the table. So we're going to start by adding the table, which is going to be the sales data combined, right? And actually, I'm going to do something for format's sake. I'm going to hit Shift Enter so that it jumps down and kind of sticks with the logical sense of how these formulas are kind of created. And this is typically how you're going to see them if you were to go look them up. So we did SUMX, open parenthesis, and then from here, now we're going to go with that sales. Let's see, try that again. SUMX, and then oh, I do. Let me see. I think I hit this wrong. Oh, why is it not? Okay. Well, that's the case. Let's see. Data combine. And then I go comma. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and bring in that sales data. I want the auto. Hold on. I got to figure out what I did here. Oh, that should be one word. I'm tripping. There we go. Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Hit that comma. There we go. Now I can get the expression. Coolly. So here, I'm also going to go ahead now and take that, hit that enter. Get that into that format I was talking about originally. So sales data combined, and then I'm going to go sales data combined order quantity. And then we're going to take that. Actually, I was supposed to jump that down to the next line also. So let me see, Shift Enter. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and multiply this by and I'm going to type in related. And what this related function does, because we're multiplying two different fields that don't exist in the same table, we got to use that related function that returns a value from a different table. So something to keep in mind if you're working with DAX. Again, this is a big subject, so if it don't make total sense right now, I fully understand. All right, so from there, we're getting that order quantity. Now we need product price coming from the product lookup. Let's see, there we go. Product cost, product price. There we are. And I'm going to close that parenthesis and add another closure of parentheses there. All right. So again, we did the SUMX. So this gave us the sales data combined. That's the table we evaluated. And then we grabbed the order quantity and multiplied that by the product price, but those were from two different tables, so I had to use that related so that I was able to actually multiply those two together. Now I'm gonna go ahead and hit enter, And if I look over in my sales data combined here in this data pane, I can see the total sales, and this is denoted by this calculator icon. That lets me know and lets you know that this is a measure. Now let's create one more that we're going to use just for our time series, and this is going to be a year-to-date measure. And this is also going to go into that sales data combined. So I'm going to just head back up to the table tools because I'm still here. I still got the sales data combined table selected. Head to a new measure. All right. Start with naming it. So YTD sales. Go ahead with equal. And then what we're going to do is use the total year-to-date function here, and you see it's breaking it down. Needed expression, dates, filter, year-end dates. It says evaluates the specified expression over the interval, which begins on the first day of the year, ends with the last date in the specified date column after applying specified filters. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to jump down. I'm going to hold my shift and enter, and then here I'm going to go SUMX. So we're using that formula again. All right, and then we're going to go with sales data combined as the table. And I hit a comma, hold my shift, enter, jump down the line. And then this is going to be the sales data combined order quantity. Brought that field, and then we're going to multiply that by, and then related. So we got to get it from a field, not in that same table. And that's got related there. And then we're bringing from the product lookup the product price. There we go. And then I want to make sure that I got two closing parentheses, a comma, and then now we have to bring in that date field. So I'm going to hold shift, hit enter, and then I'm bringing from the calendar lookup, bring in date, and then a closing parenthesis. And I don't have any red squigglies. Usually that's to let you know something's going wrong in that formula. So if you happen to see red squigglies, it's going to let you know that that's where an issue is at in the way that formula is typed out. A lot of times it's something as simple as, you know, you might have put a space where it didn't belong, or you forgot to put a comma, something like that. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. Now over here in the data pane, I can see those years to date sales, or year to date. I don't know why I threw plural on that year. All right, so again, nothing got added here to our sales data combined table because we made measures. Now, if we jump into report view, we can go ahead and see these in action. So I'm going to start with adding a table. So I'm going to bring a table in. I'm going to go ahead and resize this, bring it down just a little bit there. Coolly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with I'm going to collapse all of these first. Now, from the product lookup, I'm going to go ahead and bring in product name and profit. So product name is a field that's there. Then profit is that calculated column that we created. Cool, cool. And then I'm going to collapse this and I'm going to bring in from the sales data combined. I'm going to bring in order quantity. All right. And then I'm going to add the total sales and year to date sales fields here. Those are the measures, I mean. So now we have our sum of profit, which that's our calculated column. Then our sum of order quantity. We've got our total sales and year-to-date measures showing up here. So again, these are for each of these products. And then we've got our grand total here at the bottom. Now there are some blank fields here. Now this order quantity, of course, this sum of profit, there's everything is filled in because that's just doing calculations based on sale price and the price to make it, right? This sum of order quantity, this we can put a filter on so that it removes these blanks. Now, this is something too to keep in mind. You can use filters. So this filter pane, you can apply filters just to a single visual. So if we had 3 different visuals here, we could apply it just to this, or you can apply using filters on this page just to everything on this page so that those filters won't affect anything on a different page. Or you can apply filters on all pages. So let's say we only wanted to see data popping up in our visualizations from United States. We could bring region, add United States, and it would only show, so we wouldn't have to filter it down each time. It would filter across the whole report on all pages. So with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that I've got this chart selected here. And then I'm gonna come over to sum of order quantity. I'm gonna hit that drop down. And it says show items when the value is, it has is less than, we want to say is not blank. So if it isn't blank, then we want it to show. So then we'll click apply filter. Now we've got rid of those and we're only seeing what we need to see. Now I did mention at the top of this, we're going to make a line chart to show kind of time series. So if so that was also a great thing to point out. Make sure you've got a visual deselected before you select a different visual, because it will do what just happened there. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in that line chart here. All right. And on that line chart, I'm going to go ahead and bring in year-to-date sales. Click that. And then I'm also, from the calendar lookup, I'm going to bring in the year field there. Get that suggestion. So as it stands, it's showing here 2022, 2021, 2020. Those are the 3 different years that we combine for the sales data. But looking right now, you'd have to hover over and get one of those tool tips to see the values. So if you want those values to show up, that's an easy fix. With that line chart selected, we'll come over to the format pane, turn on data labels. And then from there, you can make changes to it. Like if you want it to show up, above the line, you can change the position of that. I'm going to leave it on auto. Then I'm going to expand value. And here is where I'm going to make a couple of changes. I'm going to go ahead and key this up to 20, just so those are a little bit bigger. You can also make them bold so they stand out a bit. Of course, you can change colors and so on. Now, right now, it has displayed the units, right? The values here with 6.4 million. You can change the display units. Right now it's set to auto. If we wanted to put none, we could see the full breakdown of the values, and then we could go ahead and, change that to only be 2 decimal places. But for the sanctity of summarization, I'm going to leave it on auto there. And now we can go ahead and apply a slicer here. I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to deselect. Over in the build pane, there is the slicer just next to that table chart. I'm going to click that, bring that in. I'm going to resize it because I know it's too big already. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in the year field. And when I bring that in, it just defaulted to putting this as an in-between. I'm going to turn this into just some buttons here. So I'm going to go to the slicer settings, drop that down, change that style to vertical list. Now, there we go. If I want, now I can filter this. I click 2020. I see that these numbers have changed here. So the total profit for 2020, 37K, 2021, 38, 2022, back down to 31. A quick summary there. And again, you'll see that format has changed in these places based on that filtering. So that's it. Calculated columns and measures. As I said, your calculated columns is like adding extra ingredients to a recipe. And then those measures, it's the flavoring. How much you need to make some extra you can utilize them. It's going to be the summation versus adding that additional column. And with that, hopefully you got something up out of it. So next in line, we're going to jump into working with some more visuals. Here we just did the quick little bar chart, or not bar chart. We did a table chart and then a line chart. So we're going to work some more in that space. But with that said, I'm going to get up out of here. Hopefully y'all enjoyed. Of course, there's a ton more that can be dived into, and it's going to be right now. It's just getting you going. So with that said, I am Technically Can. You technically can. Together, we technically can. I'm gone.